Ever since the series' inception, Mario Kart has not been a typical racing game. One of the reasons for this is the items, weapons that you can use to trip up opposing racers to give yourself another chance at snatching that first place. Now, what if we took that and made it its own mode? And from the very beginning, we've had that with the battle mode. The battle mode pits players against each other in smaller, confined arenas, with the objective usually being to pummel your opponents as much as possible. It's fun. And over the years, Nintendo have given us many different battle courses that have been designed to elevate that fun. Some have obstacles of their own, while others have gimmicks that you won't see anywhere else. Today we're going to be taking a look at all 35 courses across the series to separate the best from the worst and the worst from the best. 35 is the number of unique battle courses in all Mario Kart games. From DS onwards, there are some retro courses that were brought back, but for this list, they won't be separate entries. Unlike many of the retro tracks seen in the racing mode, the retro battle courses don't do much to differentiate themselves from the original versions, and even the ones that do don't change enough to alter their position in the ranking. And I'm sure it goes without saying, but I'm not touching the original Mario Kart 8's throwaway battle courses, since they aren't even battle courses. That's about all there is to clarify, so strap yourself in, it's battle time. Starting off with Mario Kart 7's Sherbet Rink, the worst battle course of all. Just look at it. If an ice level in any game is bad, it's often because of the ice physics. And yep, that's the problem here. Firstly, the lack of friction makes guiding yourself into item boxes harder than other courses. Upon managing that, you better hope that item happens to be a red shell, because aiming items on the ice is like pulling teeth. I must admit, it is really funny seeing everyone slide around like snails, but after that novelty has worn off, I just don't want to play on this course anymore. Okay, so good news. There are only 2 battle courses out of the lot that I consider bad. Sherbet Rink was one, and the other is Battle Course 4 from Super Mario Kart. It's just way too big. There are 5 outer lanes that players can hide down. Just finding your opponent in the SNES game can be a nightmare. It's insane that they thought this was appropriate for a one-on-one battle mode. Obviously the increased player count makes it a bit more tolerable in Mario Kart Wii, but that game doesn't have the option to have free-for-all matches. The course is still annoyingly big for 6-on-6. Now we come to the not bad courses, and Battle Course 3 from the Super Nintendo original is the nottest baddest of them all. It's another ice stage, although the ice physics in this course are a bit more forgiving than they were in Sherbet Rink. I like the mad dash at the beginning of matches where players will quickly ram through the ice blocks to get to an item. After that though, we're left with a course that looks strikingly similar to Battle Course 1, albeit more annoying as you'll likely be bumping into walls a lot. Palm Shore feels quite cramped, considering players will usually be in the centre of the outer circle to avoid the momentum halting water, which can be a bit of a nuisance in Mario Kart DS. The same goes for the patches of grass that some of the item boxes can be a little too close to, but overall, it's a course layout that I don't hate. There's just nothing to say about Mario Kart Super Circuit's Battle Course 3. Take a peek at it for a second and you've seen all there is to see. 4 walls, that's your lot. I will say though that simplicity in the battle courses is absolutely fine. You'll still be able to have some intense and fun matches on them. They're just nothing to get excited about. Following that sentiment, here's Battle Course 2 from Super Mario Kart. This beach level contains plenty of hiding spots to avoid those homing red shells, but the walled off puddles of water make it a bit more difficult to make a daring escape with a feather, although I suppose that could lead to some funny moments. Double Deck is one of the most forgettable battle courses of the lot, with an uncreative name that isn't inaccurate. It's a double deck. As bland as the visuals may be, the 2-tiered layout is fine, allowing for opportunities for players to drop in on their unsuspecting victims. Super Circuit's Battle Course 1 is extremely similar to the track of the same name from Super Mario Kart. It's a classic, and as far as these simple courses go, I think it's the one that works the best. It's just the right size. The walls allow players to take cover behind corners, yet the course is small enough that opponents will be able to catch them if they're not vigilant. And here is the Battle Course 1 that served as that course's inspiration. The only real difference here is the few outer bays that allow for an extra option. Quality wise, they are almost the same. I suppose if I were to look at their future incarnations in Mario Kart 7 and 8, I would give the slight edge to the SNES version. The Battle Course 2 in Super Circuit has quite a fun design. The centre intersection can only be accessed on 2 of the 4 sides, so it can often lead to a chaotic game of cat and mouse. Batting first for Mario Kart Double Dash is Block City, one of the more laid back courses from a game with some much flashier ones. It's quite similar to the previous course, but the centre can be reached via all sides, increasing the pace a bit. Cookie Land is the other laid back course from Double Dash. What we have is an outer circle and an inner circle, each with 3 entry points. The flow of matches will likely be similar to Block City and other courses with simple designs, but the rounded nature of Cookie Land makes it a bit easier to swerve around and fake out opponents. Last but not least for the Game Boy Advance entry is Battle Course 4, a track riddled with puddles and no walls besides the outer ones. Surprisingly, there aren't that many hazards in Mario Kart's many battle courses. Battle Course 4 has hazards, forcing players to split their focus between beating up their enemies and avoiding a watery grave. Speaking of hazards, Chain Chomp Roulette features a bouncing chomp to avoid and a roulette. Not sure where the chain is though. This course has a mix of good and bad elements. It has a wonderful aesthetic, and I like that we're just thrown into a small bowl to duke it out. But I don't find it that much fun to drive against the tide of the roulette wheel. Plus, aiming for the item boxes in the wheel's spinner can be pretty challenging. Reward doesn't match the risk. But all in all, the good and the bad of this course balance each other out, and we're left with a pretty alright course. Similarly, Delfino Pier has some things that I love, and some that I'm not a fan of. Evolving courses are great. Once the bridge descends, it turns a close quarters match into one with a larger field with multiple areas, which is quite cool. However, it's the lower layer of the course that I'm not a huge fan of. It's submerged in water all too often, and because of this it never feels safe to go down there. If players were given a lengthier opportunity to poke their head down there, I might have liked this one a bit more, but I do still like it regardless of this. Sometimes less is more. What do I mean by that? Well, Nintendo GameCube is without a doubt the most bare bones battle course there is. It's basically a wrestling ring. No walls, obstacles or anything. This means that you can just go crazy. No holds barred. It's chaotic, it's frankly unfair, but it can be so much fun. You probably won't always want to play on this course, but when you're in the mood for some insanity, you can't go wrong. And the fact that you're driving on a GameCube is cool in itself. Mario Kart DS stole this idea, and we got Nintendo DS. It's the same deal as Nintendo GameCube, it's just a DS, no walls or obstacles, but the form factor of the DS increases the area of the course. It's now possible to put some distance in between yourself and your opponents, making it a more organised form of chaotic. Skyscraper is another course with an outer edge and a central area for players to meet up and fight each other. The cool thing about Skyscraper is that you're not kept out of the centre by walls, but a gap in the building. One wrong move and down you go. This course isn't for the faint of heart. Thwomp Desert has a dynamic unlike any other course. During the quicksand's rippling phase, everyone will be inching slowly towards the item boxes. And once you've got it, go go go! Get points, get points, get points. It's a neat gimmick. Like some previous courses, you probably won't want to play all of your matches here, but it is fun when you do. When I think of Mario Kart's battle mode, Block 4 is one of the first courses that comes to mind. It's almost as iconic as Battle Course 1. 4 forts, multiple layers and bridges, a mostly symmetrical course, and no funny business. It's a great choice for a good clean round of Mario Kart's battle mode. Big Donut is another course where the flow of the game and your strategy will vary from your average course. True to its name, it's a big donut. A big burnt donut that I wouldn't want to eat, but a big donut all the same. Players can either hide behind walls, luring their opponents in until it's the perfect time to strike, like a cover-based shooter, or you can hold onto that shell, drift around the whole stage, and then bop them as they pass. The choice is yours. After the travesty that was Mario Kart 8's battle mode, the deluxe version had to step up its game with the courses, and it did. What we have with Lunar Colony is a gorgeous rounded space station on a satellite with decreased gravity. It's a great course, but I do have a small gripe. It's a bit too wide. In the outer areas, players can quite easily avoid each other just by driving to the other side. Still, it made its way to the top half of the list, and I do still enjoy it. The best thing about Twilight House is that it simply has a layout that leads to exciting battles. Instead of just random walls jutting out of the floor, Twilight House's walls are combined to make a series of small rooms. It's hard to formulate a mission plan. Enemies can jump out from around the corner at any time. You've just got to muster up some courage and pray for some lucky items. Honeybee House, or as it's more appropriately named outside of the UK, Honeybee Hive, is quite similar to Twilight House, but the square rooms are replaced with hexagonal ones. The few extra gimmicks like the honey puddles and the pipe shooting an air current slightly gives this course the edge over Twilight House. A few positions out of Block 4 we have the familiar looking Block Plaza. It's not a retro course as it's not a remake of Block 4, just heavily inspired by it, and also throws in some elements from Block City. It's a better course because it changes as the game goes on. Towers and statues begin to sink, leaving bottomless pits in their place. Plus, it just has a very pretty skybox. Battle Stadium is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's simplest battle course, and that definitely says something about that game's selection, because it's still quite involved with plenty of different paths to take. But at some point they all intersect. There really is no place to hide, and I find you've got to be constantly on the move while keeping a close eye on the map, looking for hotspots of players to score some big points. Celebrating the wonderful game Splatoon, here is Urchin Underpass. It doesn't look quite the same as the Splatoon map of the same name, some concessions had to be made to fit Mario Kart, but it's close enough, and it definitely works as a battle course. There's the central area and the 2 spawn points where skirmishes can take place, along with 2 side paths where you can take a quick breather, so long as you don't bump into any strangers in the alleyway. Not only was Luigi's Mansion the first battle course that actually pulled inspiration from a different game, but it was also the first course that felt like a full-fledged level or something, with depth that went beyond your average battle course. It's a 3-floored maze. Opponents could show up around any corner, and even rain from the sky if they choose to take the hole in the roof. It is rather large, so I definitely think it works better in modes like Shine Thief. On the other end of the spectrum we have a very small course in Tart Top. I remember this being a particular favourite of ours when we all brought our DS's to school. Everyone is perpetually out in the open, and your only chance of winning is getting good at jumping off the top of the tart. But even that isn't always safe if someone on the other side is lying in wait with an item. Some people may look at this course and think it's similar to Chain Chomp Roulette. In terms of its layout, yes, but I feel that the absence of the spinning wheel and the greater focus on the central jump itself makes it more fun. And it is a lot of fun. And we're back with another crazy course, and as far as the more unconventional battle courses go, Tilt-A-Kart is my favourite. If you haven't played it, I think you can tell by this footage just how hectic it can get. Not only do the carts go tumbling as the course tilts, but also the item boxes, so a lot of vigilance is required. The retro look works a treat too. The only other thing I would have liked is that dropped items could also slide around. Hopefully we'll see that when this course returns in Mario Kart 9. Kicking off the top 5 we have the royal residence of Sweet Sweet Canyon. That is Sweet Sweet Kingdom. Not sure how high this course would come in your lists, but I think it's double sweet. I've always enjoyed small courses for the fact that you're pretty much always within arm's reach of someone to hit. There's rarely any downtime. With that said, Sweet Sweet Kingdom has a bunch of small tunnels, inclines and intersections to give you a little bit of breathing room, but not so much that you can ever let your guard down. For a fun, fair fight with the highest level of bedlam, Sweet Sweet Kingdom is the perfect place to be. I've mentioned in some of my other videos that I have a soft spot for Woohoo Island, so seeing Woohoo Town this high shouldn't come as much of a surprise. But this is straight up just a good Mario Kart battle course, and I actually think its size complements it. Using buildings as walls means you can't tell when someone's around the corner, but crafty players could spy someone taking a certain path and either follow them quietly or cut them off. This course also has a bit more variety than other courses, with the water fountain, the grassy patches and the basketball court. Dragon Palace is a very well designed course with the perfect relationship between the inside and outside area. The simple act of entering and exiting is entertaining. Smashing through the panels is a blast. The inside contains different overlapping ramps which could be useful if you have a bob-omb, or you can actually make decent use of the feather for a quick escape. It's a fantastic course that I'm never disappointed to play on. Obviously the pipes are what make Pipe Plaza a special course, and it truly is special. It has something that more Mario Kart battle courses should really experiment with: teleportation. Whether someone's on your tail and you want to throw them off, or you've worked out where someone's going to appear and wait to ambush them, it's all possible thanks to the pipes. Added to this, the wireframe platform is so thin that you can drop at a moment's notice. Players can utilise the pipes and the thin platforms for tricky things, and the creative possibilities from such a small course are quite impressive. But the granddaddy of them all is of course none other than Funky Stadium. It's Funky Stadium! After a stylish entrance, players appear in the arena, where you'll see that it's sort of 3 tart tops in one, but with a bit more space to stretch your legs. There's the decision to either aim a jump to grab the item boxes in the air, or grab the ones in the middle of the sand pits but leave yourself vulnerable. The course is mostly wide open, but there are a couple hiding spots in the tunnels, and even up near the stands. Some fun battles can be had in Funky Stadium, but I'll be honest, it's not leagues above any of the other courses that were high on the list, but what really sets it apart from those is the funky vibes, man. This course is a classic, and even though there have only been 2 games since Mario Kart Wii, I am disappointed that it hasn't returned yet. The same goes for Funky Kong. Let's get them both back. So there you have it, my top 35 Mario Kart battle courses. I know your favourites will be different to mine, so be sure to let me know in the comments. Subscribe for Funky Stadium, like for Funky Kong, and in the meantime, have fun playing some funky video games.
Oh, no, no, no!